Welcome back to Just Scrap Radio on BJPenn.com. I'm your host, Cole Shelton. Before we start, obviously, some very sad news. The MMA world, Elias Theodoro passed away on Sunday night due to cancer. Thoughts and prayers go with his family and friends, and condolences. Obviously, a very sad time for his family and just the sport in general. As someone, as a Canadian, he's about a Canadian pioneer. I know a lot of fighters have looked up to him. One of the nicest guys in the sport. I had the honor of interviewing him multiple times and meeting him in person. He's one of the nicest guys in the sport, and truly sad that he passed away. But on to the show. We're first going to be joined by Damon Jackson to preview his fight against Pat Sabatini. This is a really interesting fight. Damon thinks him and Pat are very similar styles, very good grapplers, underrated striking. He thinks they both don't get the respect they deserve. So he's really looking forward to this matchup, as he believes a winner of this one gets a top 15 guy. We're then going to be joined by Gillian Robertson to preview her fight against Maria Agapova. Gillian was supposed to fight Melissa Gatto on this card. She pulled out, and then she got Agapova. This is a big fight with Gillian Robertson, who's had a very up and down UFC career, coming off the loss to JJ Aldridge. Before that, she'd be Priscilla Cachoeira. I did make a mistake in the interview. I said she had never lost two in a row, but she did lose two in a row to Santos and Maverick. I mixed that up. I thought there was one in between, but there wasn't. But she's had a very up and down career. She's going to be back in the ranks anytime soon. She needs to beat Agapova here. And then we're going to close things out with Louis Cosce to preview his fight against Trevin Giles. This is Cosce's back after his debut loss to Sasha Palnikov back at UFC 255 in November 2020. Since then, he dealt with COVID, had some injuries, and he hasn't been able to fight. But he's returning against Trevin Giles, which he thinks is a very fun fight for the fans, a very winnable fight for him. Obviously, not a lot of interviews this week with Giga and Sadiq Youssef off. That kind of hurt the show a bit, but still three very good interviews. Be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap. All right, we're jumping UFC featherweight Damon Jackson, who's got a fight booked in September. Damon, how's it going, man?
Going good, man. Yeah, it's going good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I really like this fight. Like you and Pat Sabatini seem to be two of the more underrated guys at featherweight. So it just kind of makes sense that you guys end up having to fight each other.
Yeah, no, I was kind of like as soon as my fight was over, I was asking them to get me on the Dallas card, and they're like, "Oh, there's no way we can do that. It's too soon. We've already had that card filled forever." So anyway, so after like the next day, they hit me up and they're like, "Pat Sabatini." I'm like, "Let's go." This perfect matchup. It makes the most sense as far as like where the division goes. Like whoever wins this fight is gonna go get that big boost to the top 15, I think. And that whatever fights after this for both of us is going to be a big fight. And he's been tested. He's a solid game opponent. This is definitely a tough matchup for both of us with the grappling, the wrestling, and the jiu-jitsu side of things. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we go out there and slug it out for 3 rounds and neither one of us go for a takedown. So it's going to be a good fight either way. I think it's Sean Shelby, he's been in the game forever. He knows this crap. He knows how to make these matchups work, and he knows how to make them look like like a boring fight, but then it's going to turn into like fight of the year.
And with Pat, 4-0 in the UFC, like, what have you made of his run? Because he was like, his last win was over TJ Laramie, which is a guy you were scheduled to fight, like, what,
Yeah.
2 times or just once? It was a couple times, I think.
Yeah, the TJ fight, he accepted the fight, and I knew he was gonna pull out. Like I knew it, and he waited till like the week of, or like 2 weeks or something. I don't know. He waited till like to the very end to pull out. Had that matchup for a long time, so that was super annoying. But I wasn't surprised. And then he had the matchup, and it just like it makes sense for us to fight. I think that the way that he fought TJ, that's his style. I think that he likes to have that control on the top. He likes to out wrestle people and then stay on top. So he's gonna have a really hard time doing that with me. And the same with me. Like me getting him to the ground is not gonna be the easiest thing. But I could see myself taking his back pretty easy. I could see myself subbing him pretty easy. And it's funny because you look at the odds. I'm like, man, like if I was a betting guy, I would be throwing in all this money because the odds just aren't there. And I'm just like, it makes no sense to me. Like, give me some respect. You just look at the people that fight and look at the people he's fought. It's a good matchup. It makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways, but I should be favored in this matchup.
And with Pat, like, do you look at that Jamal Emmers fight? Because that was like a good grappler, like Jamal is, and he had Pat in a lot of trouble on the ground, and then he kind of got caught in that heel hook.
Jamal Emmers is trash. Like I couldn't believe I was watching that. I was like, his jujitsu is trash. Like his mindset with it was probably thinking he was just gonna like smash this kid and like, be more explosive, be more powerful than him on the ground or whatever. I don't know what his mindset was, but he was definitely winning the fight in a very dominant way, grappling. And then he gave up his legs, and he was like messing around. They were going, they're doing like the white belt thing when they learn a heel hook on the first day, and then they try to do it forever, and they're both trying to heel hook each other at the same time. It was kind of trash on both of their ends. They both had opportunities to finish the knee bar. They had opportunities to go heel hook. They had opportunities to go toe hold, or just even going for the heel hook or going for the toe hold and then coming out on top. So, both of them, I felt like they wasted way too much time with that. And then he just got lucky and ended up catching his foot just right and, got the tap. But I wasn't impressed. I'm still not impressed, but I say this about everybody that fight. I figure out some way. I look at all their things and I kind of add it all up. And I'm a better grappler than him. I'm a better wrestler for sure. I can get people to the ground way better, and I can finish people way better than him.
And that's something that kind of is a kind of a frequent thing as your career is people like always overlook you and always think your opponent's gonna smash you.
Go for it, man. I mean, whatever. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like I've been doing this forever. It's like I'm okay with this. Like I don't care. It's okay with me.
With Pat, like, how do you think you match up against him? Because obviously both you guys are very good grapplers, but like his striking's not something we see a lot because he always tries to go
Yeah.
take it to the ground.
Yeah, I mean, who knows, man? That's why I was saying, like, Sean Shelby knows what he's doing. Like, this could be that fight where we both kind of like show each other, like, show everyone, that we do have stand up because we both are going to have a hard time getting each other down. And, like, I think that this fight goes to stand up at some point, and I definitely have better boxing than him. I think that he does like to get to the ground because that's where he's comfortable. And any wrestler or anybody with jiu-jitsu background, they're going to feel 10 times more comfortable on the ground than they are taking punches on the feet. Like I don't even like getting hit in the face still to this day. At practice, I get pissed off when people hit me. I'm like, I'm going to take your ass down. On Saturday morning when we have our MMA rounds, I'm going to remember this and I'm going to take you down and sub you and just embarrass you. So like, for me, it's like, I think that this fight is going to be a test for both of us. And, I definitely see me winning on the feet for sure.
And then with it, like you kind of mentioned there, how you guys might not be able to get down to the ground. Like, do you kind of expect though to hit like at least the ground at least a couple times just because both you guys are grapplers? Do you think it's like you pretty sure he's gonna shoot pretty early?
I don't know if, like how fast he's gonna shoot or like what his game plan, honestly, because it's like he could come out and just try to stand up and like go right away and do that, and then have me shooting in or whatever. And I think that it does go to the ground 100% at some point. And if I shoot in on him, I'll get him to the ground. And if I get him to the ground, I'm gonna get his back. So definitely it's gonna be a tough fight for sure. But I'm game. I'm ready to go right now. I'm feeling so good. I'm really amped up about the potential big win on this one and going on to the next round of things and looking for that top 15, top 10 matchup.
How do you kind of see playing it though? Because Pat's a guy is one stoppage win is because he I think he dislocated his shoulder or something, or he did something to his arms. Like he's actually never really been finished in his career.
Yeah, I mean the dude, he has a good style to not be finished. He likes to wrestle. He likes to put people in the cage. He likes to control people with good wrestling, and he has really good wrestling, and he has really good top control. So I could see him, being that guy that he doesn't really like lay it out there and like put it on the line. He fights very smart, and it's kind of like maybe not the most fan favorite fight for him. Like his style is not the most fan favorite. For me, I'm going out there looking for a finish every fight. If it's with the feet, if it's with kicks, with wrestling, grappling, whatever, I'm looking for a finish every fight. And I try not to. My last fight, I was not happy with it at all. Just had a really weird rehydration. I had a good weight cut, but I had a weird rehydration. My body was not feeling right, and when I took that kid to the ground, I realized that like my legs were just done. So there's no way for me to stand up on the feet, but. I'm doing things a little bit better this time. I'm going to make sure that I'm a little bit lighter going into the fight. And I think that'll be a big difference. And I'll be ready to go all 3 rounds, stand up or on the ground. So I'm definitely looking for the finish, but I'm ready to let them loose too.
With Pat too, like he's a guy in his UFC career so far, like credit to him, hasn't faced a ton of adversity. Like he's kind of controlled all the fights. Like, do you think that's something if you kind of if the fight's not going his way, like that's where you could kind of break him or like get him to crack and do something like force him to make a mistake there when stuff's not going his way and he's in like an actual fight?
Yeah, honestly, I kind of looked at all of his fights that I could see that he's never really had that big punch that just dropped him, and you don't really see what he does in a panic because he fights so safely. A lot of times he does really good control on like against the cage, and then when he gets people down, he's real sneaky with his trips and stuff. And so when he gets people down, he does a really smart job about just holding people down. Like I was saying, it's not the most exciting fighter to watch, but he's a smart fighter for sure. He's he could be fighting into his 40s if he keeps the fight style that he has. He doesn't take a lot of damage, and he's there to win for sure.
Just a couple more things. Like, where do you think a win over Pat puts you? Like, I have to think winner of this fight gets a top 15 guy.
Yeah, I don't see how you could argue that. Like I think these guys sit in the top 15, and they like this number is like some kind of like magical thing. But if you're not in the top 5 or maybe even the top 3, you shouldn't be allowed to sit on the shelf for 6 to 7, 8 months at a time. Like that shouldn't be allowed to happen. I think like the way they should do rankings, where is every month you don't fight, you lose one position on your ranking. So if you're not fighting consistently, you should be losing your ranking, and there should be new guys coming in and out of that thing. And I think that the way that a lot of those top 15 guys do, it's not right. So if me getting a top 15 matchup means me sitting on the shelf, I don't want that. Like I would rather be freaking 99 or whatever. Like I don't give a crap. I want to stay consistent and fight. So I think a big win over him would definitely give me the ability to get that top 15 or top 10 matchup. And especially like on a short notice fight, man, I would love to take one of those too. And, against, someone that I shouldn't be fighting or whatever, I would love to get a top 15 matchup after this.
Already your third fight as well this year. Like, pretty active. You already, like, you think this is probably it, or you still hoping you get one
No,
more
I want one more for sure. I want one more. I just have so much going on. Like for me, it's like I've been so busy with my career, like training people. Like I've been a trainer for since 2005, and I've been really working on that. I've been really trying to get better at jiu-jitsu, trying to get better at boxing, trying to get better at all these things, pushing my fights as much as I can. And so with me, I want to open my own gym this year. So I would like to get one more fight in, open my gym, and then maybe take like a 4 or 5 month gap to where I don't really do a lot while I'm, getting everything up and running. But I would like to open my gym this year at the end of the year, maybe December or maybe even, October, November. So I would love to get that going, get in there, get one more fight in this year, and open my gym, and then get busy again next year. And no, but I definitely would love to have one more.
And that next fight has to be in front of fans.
Yeah, that's what, man. I was dying. I was like, man, please, like, So I don't know if you knew about it or not, but I actually made weight.
Yeah.
The Dallas card, I actually cut down to 155, and I was at the weigh-ins, the morning of weigh-ins, and I sent a picture, I texted to Mick Maynard. I was like, hey man, I made weight. Let me know, just in case any of those guys fall out for whatever reason. And I was ready to go, and that was no lie. I was really trying to get that fight in Dallas, but I just want to fight in front of people. Just walk out there and hear people, either talking shit or screaming or, whatever. Like, I just want to be around fans. This is like, I think this is either my fifth or sixth fight with no fans, really. I mean, there's fans there, but it's just it's so different when you're hearing like 70 people or 7 to 30, 40,000 people. It's a big difference. It would be really cool to fight in front of some fans. So hopefully a big win over him will get me on a pay-per-view card here soon, and I'll get in front of fans again.
And then for you as a gym, like, what was it like seeing Jeff get that big win? Because like
Oh
that was the
man,
best he's looked in
man,
forever. Like probably since the Mike Perry fight.
made me so proud, man. Like we train with each other all the time, and like you see guys that like they come in, they look so good in the room, and then they go out and they have like they have like an okay fight, they don't have like a huge performance or something like that. So whenever we have a guy on the team or a girl on the team go out there and just like look like a G, like we know they're capable of, like when we see that, we're just like, like just that's the best of the best, man. It's the best feeling when you see your teammate perform the way he did, and just he looked so clean. He looked great, performed great. Carried himself well the whole time. Just looked like a G. So that was really cool to watch. And then we had Span, and then the week after that we had Matt Schnell.
Mhm.
And so like when you see these guys like clicking and putting these big wins together, it gives you a lot of motivation to like be the guy that is up next. So like we have Macy. I'm actually going out with Vegas for Macy. I'm cornering her for her fight the week before mine. So I'll be there for her fight, and then I fight the next week. And so it's cool to know that we have like things coming up too, that we're all working towards those, top 5, top 10 fights. And we want to put our name back out there again to be the best gym in the world, because I know that we have the skill to beat so many of these big gyms. And it's been the same group of people together for 6 years now. It's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, and Macy's fight's a big one. Like she beats Aldana. Like she's like in a title eliminator fight. Like her next
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah, I mean, like Macy's got the skill, man. She's got the mindset for sure, and she's been really, really putting in work, and she's gotten like tremendously better at wrestling. And I take so much pride in working with her, because it's like she actually does what I told her to do in the fights, and it's so hard to get people to listen, because I've cornered young guys and I've cornered my clients, and like I've kind of cornered a handful of other people. And so when you get someone like Macy that actually listens to what you're telling her to do, and she does it in the fight, it's like it's a really rewarding feeling. And I love working with her, and I can't wait for her to go out there and put on a show.
And just last thing, like one of your teammates in Uriah Hall retired. Like, what
Yeah.
was he kind of meant to the gym? Because he's a guy like that. Whenever I talk to Safe or Jeff or like anyone, like he kind of surprised a lot of them by how much like he was all for the team and like getting like
Yeah.
right in part of the gym atmosphere.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people, when they come train with us and they start trying to like, they come around, they kind of like test the waters, and they see like what we're about and stuff. I think a lot of them have already been around, and they've kind of seen other gyms, and they see that it's very individualized when you go to other gyms. And so when you come to our gym, if we allow you to come in and we accept you, then we take you all the way in. So like with Uriah, he's kind of like, when he was the guy that wanted to come in, everybody was like, why the hell would he want to come here? Like, this is crazy. Like, what's he thinking? And like, he just loved our team atmosphere. He loved coach, and he loved the way we did things. So it was really cool to see a guy like him that's had all the success that he's had kind of come in and respect what we were doing. And so it made us all kind of like, open our eyes and realize that we are doing the right thing, and that it is paying off. And this is a big deal. And with Uriah as anyone else on the team, it's like whoever's on our team, we have the utmost respect for everyone. But like with him, he's definitely that is a special guy, because he was like one of the first like highlight reel kind of guys where you never knew what he was going to do in a fight. And there's so many people that are fans of him. To see him like want to train at our gym was really cool. And he's his retirement, it's like it's like you want to argue with these guys. You want to say like, oh, this guy should have retired then, or this guy needs to keep fighting. And like they want to like talk GSP, and they want to talk Khabib out of retirement. But then like if they were to come back and lose, then you would have been like, you should have retired before this or whatever. So with him, it's like, he's been training for so hard for so long. And if he feels like this is the time for him to pull out, then it's his time. And he's already done such a great thing in the sport. And we have nothing but support for him and what he chooses to go to after this.
Yeah, and like with that too, like I always think fighters should retire like a fight or two earlier than rather than stick around for a fight or two too late, and then you see them like get brutally knocked out in back-to-back fights before.
Yeah, man, it's sad. It sucks, man. It sucks, because it's like you feel so young in your head, because you're thinking you're doing the same thing all the time. You're doing the same thing over and over, but it adds up. You can't beat it. It adds up for sure. And I think sometimes there's gonna be one day when you walk in the gym and it's just not the same, and that's when you need to wrap it up and call it quits.
Well, Damon, I appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this. All right, we're joined by UFC fly Gillian Robertson, who's back in action. Gillian, how's it going?
I'm doing great. 3.5 weeks out now, so I'm super excited.
Yeah, you are supposed to fight Melissa Gatto. She pulls out. Like when that happened, like were you worried you weren't going to get an opponent? Like, how quickly did this one kind of come together?
It was literally the same text message we got the news. So it was literally Melissa Goff out. Do you want Maria Agpova? And we just replied yes. So it was no worry. Got it. I feel like that's why I'm so lucky to be with a company like the UFC. Very professional, and got me an opponent literally right before I even knew my other one was out.
And with this one, like with Maria, like what you obviously said you answered right away. So like, is that basically how you go? Is like, it's a yes no matter what. It didn't really matter who the opponent was. Like you just wanted to fight.
A lot of times my coach, he'll say yes to them, and then he'll ask me, and then I'll be like, yeah, sure. And he like, good, I already told him yes. I'm like, for me though, yeah, it is. I feel like if I want to be a world champ, if I want to be to hold the belt one day, then I should be able to beat every girl in the division. So it's really never a question for me. I'm always ready to fight.
And with Maria, like how familiar are you with her?
So we actually worked together for probably about, I would say it's about 4 or 5 months at ATT. So I feel like it's a very good matchup for me, especially grappling wise. I feel like that's where the fight plays out for me the best, obviously. She's got a very awkward style of striking that's kind of difficult to deal with because it is so awkward. It's like punches come from a weird angle. It's just you're not used to seeing it like that. And yeah, she's able to pull some things off or like I believe she dropped Sabino Mazo. So yeah, some very powerful shots. So she's definitely a threat on the feet, but I think it's going to be my world.
And her striking, like that's obviously where her strong suit is, but like in her fights, like the Shayna Dobson one's kind of the perfect example where she gassed out in that second round and she was like this big favorite. Like, is that something you think you'll have the advantage the later fight goes, or do you think that she probably has worked on that and improved her cardio?
I don't think that was necessarily a cardio issue. I think that was more of a mindset issue. Sometimes like going in there thinking you're going to get the finish quick and easy, and then it doesn't happen. And then now there's 2 more rounds left. So I think that's essentially what happened with the Shayna Dobson fight. And if you watch her fight against Marina Moroz, I don't think she necessarily plays to that as much. Obviously it's still a very large possibility, but I feel like she's kind of calmed down a little bit, kind of just fought a little bit more strategically. But I still think that her gas tank isn't the best necessarily. It didn't look like it was the best in the Marina Moroz fight either. So it's definitely probably going to be something that might be, I guess, a benefit for me in this fight.
Like, how often did you two train with each other at ATT? Like, or was it not much training you guys did?
Oh no, we definitely worked together a lot. There's not a lot of 125-pound girls, so we try to mix together a lot. And yeah, we got a lot of rounds in, so we were very familiar, but that was also a very long time ago.
Yeah, like, do you take anything away from those training sessions, or do you just kind of think it's just practice and it was a long time ago and you can't really take much away from it?
Yes and no, because obviously you get a little bit of their style, you can take a little bit of that away from it, but it's a completely different scenario when you're in the cage, when there's the big lights there. You can see people who are like gym warriors who will like beat everyone's ass in the gym and then go out in the cage and not be able to put it together, just not know how to do it. So and plus like weight cuts come into play. You're not the same fighter. If it's a good weight cut, bad weight cut, whatever happens, there's so many things that come into play when it's in the cage that's different than gym scenario. So you can't really base it off of that too much.
And then I know you obviously work with Dean a lot, but I saw you were at a gym in Miami. Like, are you kind of there full time now, or how's the training working?
I'm actually with Dean and with my new gym. It's the Goat Shed down in Miami. I am with Dean a couple nights a week. He's usually like all over the state or all over the country doing different things for the UFC. You always see him on the broadcast table. So I work with him a couple nights a week, and then I'm at the Goat Shed just so I have a full team of fighters to work with me and really push the pace every day.
Yeah, because for the longest time, it's just like you, Dean, and Shorty Torres just kind of rolling around.
Yeah, for the longest time it was. And like I said, Dean's just really all over the place now. So it's just he doesn't have the time to really watch me as a full-time coach anymore. And I really needed the bodies to work with. It's like it really helps. I have good team of 125-pound boys at the goat shed, plus a couple girls who are good work for me. So it's nice to have the bodies there.
And will Dean will be in your corner then, I assume?
Yes, I'll have Dean in my corner, Awesome, the head coach of the goat shed, and one of my main training partners, Gloria.
Like what is kind of like there now going there? Like obviously not much of a change. Like you're still working with Dean, but like a new gym. Like is that like? Do you think you are going to be like a better self in this one?
I think I'm going to be a completely different fighter in this one. Honestly, I think that I got a lot better technically with Dean. Like we were drilling and I feel like all the fine points of my technique really got put together, but I wasn't necessarily putting it together live. I wasn't getting the live rounds that I needed to get in. And now I'm really, I guess, flowing more, playing and doing things, being more creative, using all the techniques that I worked while working with Dean, and just really putting them together in live rounds now. So I feel like that's really going to show in this fight.
And then style wise, like, is it basically the same as all your other fights, just trying to get her down to the ground as quick as possible?
I try not to make it as quick as possible anymore, but yeah, definitely. Obviously, I feel like that's my quickest way to finish is either going to be a rear naked choke or ground and pound. So it's the ideal way to finish, but I would like to play on the feet a little bit before I get my takedown.
And then your last fight, like obviously against JJ, like what do you kind of take away from that going into that one? Because like it was short notice for you. I was trying to remember, right?
It was short notice, and it was short notice with complications in the camp as well. It was an absolute disaster of a 2-week camp, and like in hindsight, it's like I probably shouldn't have fought, but in my heart, I don't have it in me to pull out of a fight ever. But so probably not the smartest decision of my career, and but not to take anything away from JJ either. She's a very good opponent, and she's proved herself time and time again. She was just the better woman that night.
And then I was looking at your career too. Like you've never lost 2 in a row. So is there a bit of pressure on you to like get back in the win column? Or like how do you kind of do that? Because you see some fighters once they lose once, like they kind of struggle that next one. It's hard for them to get out. And then with you though, like it seems to have you always have a really good performance after a loss.
It's definitely it made me take a look at myself and everything that I've been doing, and obviously I've made a lot of changes in my in how I'm approaching this fight now. So I guess you would think there would be more pressure, but I feel like it's gonna be a completely different fighter in there. So I'm just really honestly I haven't been this excited to perform in a long time because I really feel like I'm gonna go out there and perform.
And then with Maria, like how do you kind of see it playing out? Like obviously your grappling is what you're known for, the submissions, but your ground pound has gotten a lot better. And like we've seen her lose kind of both ways.
Ideally ground and pound for me. That's what I feel like my biggest issue with my jiu-jitsu is that I'm too much jiu-jitsu. So I want to make it an MMA fight. I want to make it exciting, maybe a little bit of blood, you know? So I definitely want to focus on the ground and pound.
Where do you think a win puts you, especially if you finish her? Because you're someone that's like always near that top 15.
I feel like I'm always near it. Just never. I make it in and then I make it out every single time. So hopefully, I think 1 or 2 more. I don't think this one would put me in the top 15, but maybe another one after that I would be ranked at this point, and then make a title run.
Are you a bit disappointed this fight's just at the Apex and not in front of one of these events in front of fans?
I'm 100% disappointed that it's not in an arena, but at least there'll be a little. There's a little crowd in the Apex now, so it's not completely silent.
Yeah, it's not as bad as when you were like first fighting it when there was literally no one. It was just complete silence. That would have been so weird to fight in when it was like no one was allowed in.
It was almost too relaxed of a scenario, honestly. So it's like. It almost, I honestly, I felt like I would perform better without the crowd there because I don't do well in front of crowds, just like talking and things like that. I don't like being in front of a big crowd. So I thought I would perform better because it's like, oh, it's like being in the gym. But I feel like that crowd being there kind of adds that extra pressure. It really makes you perform, really adds that extra energy, and it makes all the difference. I feel like being in the Apex is almost like too like relaxed of a scenario.
And then you're someone like not too picky about who you fight. Like, do you really care who's next? Or is it just whoever they give you?
Yeah, it's whoever they give me. I would like the I forget her name now. The girl I was originally matched to.
Melissa Gatto.
Melissa Gatto, yes. I would like that matchup eventually. So it'd be nice to get that lined up after this, hopefully before the end of the year.
Well, kind of just the last thing, like hoping one more in before the end of the year because you're someone that likes to be as active as possible.
Oh, 100%. I'm hoping to get in there. Hopefully December would be a good time.
And hopefully in front of fans too.
That's the biggest goal. My last fight in front of fans was Priscilla Cachoeira, and there's just no feeling to describe after a win in front of fans. It's just it's an absolutely amazing feeling, and I'm chasing that feeling. I need to get it again.
Well, Gillian, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
All right, we're talking about UFC welterweight Louis Cosce, who's finally back in action. How's it going, man?
Going good. How about you?
I'm doing well. Like, obviously, a long time. Like the debut, November 2020. Like after that fight, like, could you ever imagine it's nearly 2 years before you're finally getting back in there?
I did not think it was going to be this long. Way too long.
What has the past, 20, 22 months been like then for you?
So the first 6 months to a year was pretty much just back-to-back surgeries. So it was like pretty much just PT and kind of mostly just chilling, It was already doing anything with the shoulder surgeries and whatnot. And then last summer I moved down here and started getting like more one-on-one work with the PI and stuff on my shoulders. And then a couple months of that, I finally started getting good. I want to say like December or January. That's when I really started hitting the gym again and started like getting consistent, sparring and all that stuff without really hurting. And then well, shit, I was supposed to fight April and then caught COVID.
Yeah. And then obviously you had to pull out the one because in April because you got COVID. Like, did you expect to be off this much longer for that? Like, I thought you would have gotten something pretty soon.
Yeah, they offered me something like 2 weeks later. But I was still sick, and I had to tell them that it was against Jake Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
They offered me against Jake Matthews, and it was like pretty much set for 2 weeks later. And I was like, "Fucking shit, bro! Like I'm still sick at the minute." And they're like, "Okay." And then I asked for June 21st, I think, and then they pretty much told me it was booked up. They told me July is pretty much booked up. So I asked for early August, and then I got offered September 10th against Trevin, and then I took it. And then like 2 days later, they switched it to the 17th.
It would have been on that Singapore card then your brother was supposed to be on, right? Against Jake Matthews then? Is that when they wanted that?
No, they wanted that one May 21st down in yeah, it was literally just like weeks after.
Oh, like it was like way soon. Because he fought on the Singapore card, so I thought it would have been that one, but I guess so that would have been like a real quick turnaround then after that.
Yeah. I had to let him know. I was like, fuck man, I'm still sick over here dying.
A bit disappointed it got moved a week. Like obviously the September 10th was 279 for the fans, and now this one just at the Apex.
Yeah, so at first they switched it because they had no idea where the 10th was going to be at. Mm-hmm. They were looking at like Atlanta, Boston, and Canada, from my understanding. And then they switched us to the 17th, and then maybe like a week or two later, they pretty much like made Chimais Diaz, and then they fucking made that Las Vegas, That would have been sweet. I would have loved hopping on that card.
And then with this one, now that you're like finally like ready to fight, like what has this camp been like for you? Because obviously this is a long time coming to finally get back into a fight camp.
It feels good, man. It feels good to actually finally get back out there and actually fucking do the damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
It got so close last time that it never really happened, and then but I've been training. Shit, I've been training. I feel like nonstop this whole entire time, So I feel good. I feel like it maybe wasn't meant to be, Maybe I was supposed to wait a little bit longer. Obviously, I had to, but I'm glad I'm back. I'm sure the training will pay off. Trevin's a tough guy. He's experienced, so it'll be a good test for me.
I know your debut was so long ago. Like, what do you take away from that going into your second fight?
A lot, man. I was literally so inexperienced that fight. I was like so close to finishing it, but then so far away at the same time. My training was completely different. Fucking pretty much everything, the way I approached it, the injuries, and even the way I tried to approach the finish, wasn't calculated. It was really just fucking sloppy. and I paid the ultimate price for it, honestly. So I won't really know until I get back in there, you know. I could sit here and say whatever I want to say, but words ain't shit unless you prove it. So I gotta go out there and prove what I'm worth.
And then with Trevin, like he's a guy that's been around the UFC for a while, like dropped down to welterweight in his last one. Like, how familiar were you with him when he got this name?
I knew who he was right off the bat. I accepted immediately. I like the matchup. I think it's good. It'll be a good test. He's a lot more experience than the last guy I was gonna fight, you know. So beating him would up me up like more than it would have beaten Preston, you know. It would up me up more of the rankings and look good on my resume beating this guy. So I like it.
Yeah, and especially the guys that have beat him are like some pretty good guys. Like he really only loses to guys like right in that kind of top 15 or right outside of the top 15 range.
Yeah, he's a tough dude. He's only losing to tough dude, so it's like I gotta prove that I'm a tough dude.
And then again, like obviously both you guys very good strikers. You're good wrestler yourself. Like how do you kind of think you match up against him?
I think I match up well. He has good boxing, good jab. I think he has a little bit of jiu-jitsu. I think the wrestling aspect, I have him all day. I honestly think the jiu-jitsu too. He not too worried about the kicks. He looks like he has a good jab on him, a good real right hand, you know. I don't know. I just can't let him get off, you know. He looks good if you sit there and let the guy fucking tee off on you.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely won't let that happen. If I have to, I'll make him wrestle. If he thinks I want to wrestle him, I'll start teeing off on him.
Yeah, how much do you look at his last fight against Morales, where even though Morales knocked on the first round, like Giles, he was looking very good because Morales was kind of letting him get going. And once he kind of started being the pressure guy, that's when he got the knockout. Like, is that something you've noticed where like you have to kind of be the one being the pressure guy?
Yeah, I think Morales had the lights on him. You know, that was the first. I think that was his debut. That Morales
Mhm.
kid. I think the lights were just on him. You know, I think being out there for the first time, I think that's why he got caught and dropped. Fucking no offense against John. I don't think he looked that good his last fight. I don't think welterweight fucking. He didn't look like he had that much energy. Maybe this time around he'll be like a little bit more acclimated. You know, but compared to his 85 fights, he looks like he has a little bit more energy. Like going to the second and third, this one he didn't. I don't know. He dropped him, looked good for a second, and as soon as he started grappling, he looked like shit, got caught and dropped, you know? So, and it's like, I can wrestle all day if I need to.
Are you surprised he's staying at welterweight then?
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm not surprised at the same time, you know? I think his record's 5-4 or 5-5, you know? He might just be thinking that this is it, you know? He's coming off 2 losses. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going through his head, honestly, you know? I personally don't think it's like the best thing for a lot of people when they sit there try to cut a shit ton of weight and think it's gonna make a huge difference, you know? Because if you're getting knocked out at 85, you're probably gonna get knocked out at 172. I'm not saying the guy doesn't have power and he can't knock people out either, but I don't think dehydrating yourself anymore is gonna help your chin out. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, because I remember, I think it was after the contenders, didn't you say you could probably do lightweight as well? Like, so is that something like, obviously he's coming out from welterweight, like you might have size advantage, but is that something that you think benefits you where you're not depleting yourself and you're not just like, you can actually train where it's not just worried about getting your weight down?
Yeah, I think it helps me out tremendously. I don't have to worry about this huge weight cut, you know? 55 was like a lot different. Like 3 to 4 weeks out, it's like, it's hard to focus more on the fight and your skills and trying to get better and the hard work. You know, you have to fucking make that lifestyle change within like 4 to 5 weeks and start cutting back down, change everything you eat, and then fucking pretty much just look to make the weight. Compared to 170, I walk around probably like 187, 188. I don't really walk around too high, you know. If I'm out of shape, I'll probably walk around 195 to 200, but I don't let myself get like that. I usually try to stay in shape, and I walk around from 185 to 190 usually.
And then how do you see this one playing out? Like everyone kind of knows your fights. It's you get it done quickly. You're not there for a long time. So like, how do you kind of see playing? Because you have some sneaky jiu-jitsu too, and we've seen Giles get submitted before, but we've seen him get knocked out as well.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I wouldn't be surprised if I could get him on the ground. You know, My jiu-jitsu is definitely pretty good, and I'm not saying his isn't either. The way his chin's been looking, I would like to say I'm gonna knock him out, but we'll see. You know, I wouldn't mind wrestling either. I wouldn't mind getting the experience in, honestly, on the ground and all that other shit. I've been trying to wrestle for the last few fights, and it never really comes down to it. I end up just kind of throwing hands. So I don't know. I'm not gonna try to rush anything. I'm not gonna try to force anything. Whatever he gives me, he gives me. You know, if I do have to pressure him and fucking kind of take what I need to, then I will. But I think I can catch him. I think I can knock him out.
Just a couple more things. Like, how much pressure is on you, if any at all? Just because you're coming off this layoff, like coming off a debut loss, like you never want to lose 2 in a row. And like UFC, it's such like a sport where it's like, what have you done for me lately? Like fans tend to forget who people are. Like, is there any pressure to like make a statement, kind of remind everyone that you're in this division still?
No, I gotta take it win by win at the same time. I mean, I do have a little bit of pressure on myself, but I always put pressure on myself. I don't know why. I'm always nervous, and fucking scared in a way. You know, it's a fight. I'm not really scared of the fight. The fight's actually most like the relieving part. I guess it's just the build up more than anything. But no, I just gotta go out there and do my thing. You know, just let time tell.
And then what do you think of win? Like, where do you think a win kind of puts you? Like, he is coming off 2 losses, but he is a well-respected veteran and guy that we kind of talked about. Like, those top guys are the ones beating him.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how the UFC looks at him. I don't know. I'm sure if I beat him impressively and it looks good, it'll propel me up. But I don't know, if it's not looking good and it's like a shit decision, I don't fucking know. It might not look too good, and I don't think it'll propel me that far up, you know. But at the end of the day, a win's a win. I don't definitely think I'll be in a boring fight, but but it should do good for me, honestly, beating this guy. I think it would do better beating this guy than it would have my last fight, you know.
I'm not sure if you thought about it, like, what if you get your hand raised? Like, what are those kind of emotions like getting that win after this long time off, and especially that first UFC win? Like, it's a long time coming to get this done.
Fuck, I hope to God, man. I hope to God I get my hand raised, you know. It's been a long fucking time coming.
And then just last thing, your brother, obviously, what a fight he was in. What was that like seeing him get his win? Because similar thing, like coming off the debut loss and had some time off and then kind of pulls that one out. It was in that 3rd round. Like, what was that kind of seeing him get that win?
It felt good, man. I like the atmosphere for that. That was cool. Like the pay-per-view, the fans there. It was good. I like it. It's almost more relaxing with the fans, you know, because there's so much noise. People are talking shit. Like, people are cheering, people are booing. It's like, I don't know, it's more fitting compared to the Abex. It's like fucking quiet, it's silent, it's like, it's nerve wracking, you know, it's a lot more intense. You can hear everything, you can hear the punches, you can hear your coaches just fine. But yeah, it was awesome, man. I'm happy for Ryan. It was awesome to see him get the win. That guy came out good. He came out a little bit better than I thought. He had a good hook kick on him. I thought we were kind of flat-footed. I thought we could have wrestled a little bit more and did a little bit more on top. But at the end of the day, fucking win's a win, you know. He did good. He came out with the victory in the 3rd round. We dominated that round. I thought we won the first for sure. The second we gave away, but he looked good. It was a good experience, you know, to get his first win. I'm sure it's only gonna get better from there.
Well, Louis, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much for doing this again.
Yeah, thank you, brother.